the context for our exhibition here is the demolition of Robin Hood Gardens, which began at the end of last year. And the V&A has collected a section of the demolished building to bring into our National Collection of Architecture at the V&A.
Robin Hood Gardens is an important example of brutalism created by Alison and Peter Smithson, some of the most distinguished British architects ever. Richard Rogers claimed that this was one of the best examples of modernism in the United Kingdom. Zaha Hadid said that Robin Hood Gardens was her favourite building, and it exerted much influence on her later work. So it's a very important building amongst architects, and architects were particularly vocal in protesting against the demolition. It was a magazine, Building Design, that started a petition to campaign to save the building, but unfortunately it wasn't listed. English Heritage refused to give it listed status, and the Minister of Culture declared it unfit for human habitation, so it's being knocked down. And it was only after it was decided that it was going to be knocked down that the V&A decided to salvage a fragment. And we've chosen to bring a large section of that to Venice, 8 tons of concrete, which we've erected on a scaffold outside the Arsenale. And you know, it's going to be an impressive achievement to see that here next to the lagoon. We've also been working with the Korean artist Do Ho Soo, who's created an amazing portrait of the building on the verge of demolition and in the process of demolition, because one of the blocks has already been demolished, the other one is still inhabited. And he's created an amazing panoramic film, 13 meters wide, using 3 projectors, which you can see behind us. And it cuts through the building using a mix of photogrammetry, digital techniques, and film.
One of the really important things about Robin Hood Gardens is that when the Smithsons built it, they wanted it to be a new way of living in the city for all sorts of different types of people. And some of the critics of the demolition of Robin Hood Gardens have pointed out that at the moment the financialisation of that part of London, the intense value of the land there, has meant that in fact the land has become too expensive to allow everyone to live there. And so that's where it points to the questions of free space and about what kind of city that we're actually building.
When Robin Hood Gardens was first built, all the people who worked there worked in the docks, which closed even before the building had been completed. And now you can see the city looming in the background, all these corporate skyscrapers with the logos of major banks on the top. You can see how valuable that land is, and it's being redeveloped at much higher density, about 1,500 apartments as opposed to 250. This is a special project between the V&A and La Biennale. And in 1976, Peter and Alison Smithson exhibited here at the Biennale. Before the Architecture Biennale even existed, they were part of the Art Biennale. And they exhibited an exhibition called Sticks and Stones, in which they showed a construction photo of Robin Hood Gardens, a billboard-sized construction photo. And they took pictures of themselves sitting on a bench that was one of the fins from Robin Hood Gardens. And we were really excited by the idea of bringing back Robin Hood Gardens to Venice. They called in the catalogue, they said a building under construction is like a ruin in reverse. And that's where we've taken our title. And we think there's something poetic in bringing back the ruin to Venice, where they contemplated its possibility in 1976.